Hey, welcome to the 504th episode of Just Shoot It, a podcast about filmmaking, screenwriting, and directing. This episode is brought to you by patrons Leaps, Cess Machine, and Timon Burkoffer. I'm Matt and Oren.
And I'm Warren Kaplan, and today we have director Simon Kethlin Jones on the podcast. He has directed many cool things. He came on to talk about The Family Plan 2, which is on Apple TV as we speak, and it keeps showing up as like movie of the week, like kind of top most viewed movie of the week for me. It is the sequel to Family Plan 1, which he also directed, and he's directed a ton of TV: The Diplomat, C, Ballers, The Expanse, Jessica Jones, Power, Bloodline. Yeah, a ton of
all sorts of stuff. His IMDb is so long, you don't even have time to scroll through it all. It was a great conversation. I think we dug in a lot on like the action of it all, really, like how he blends comedy and action, how he approaches action, generally speaking. You know, this is a cool big budget movie with Mark Wahlberg in the center as a megastar. And so it was fun to talk to him about his approach and how he approaches the work both as a director and as a choreographer and also as a collaborator with someone who is such a force themselves. So we talk a lot about the way that you balance dealing with not just A-level talent, but like a producer, he's not just a movie. Mark Wahlberg isn't just a movie star. He's like, the engine that gets the movie made. And so that's, I think, a different sort of approach. And it was a really fun conversation.
Yes, and he's British, so get ready for that.
Pip, pip.
So change your podcast listening speed back down to 1.5. I will say, we talked about this off the mic, but we have gotten so many good interviews recently that we haven't managed to release them in sync with when the things come out. So I would highly encourage you all to watch the stuff that the people that we're talking to. Like, this Family Plan is on Apple TV streaming, and we have Tony Ascenda coming up, who directed Chad Powers, which is great. It's on Hulu. And we have Bella Gonzalez, who shot Alien Earth, and Will Bridges, who wrote and directed All of You, also on Apple TV. And I think Alien Earth is on Hulu, right?
Hulu, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I feel kind of bad that we're not releasing the episodes as the shows are hitting their
we just got hit up by so many great people. We said yes to all of them.
Yeah. But so we're slightly behind the zeitgeist, but I think our interviews are really good and insightful. And honestly, they made me want to watch every single thing that we talked about. We just had Ben Seminoff last week, who directed Black Rabbit. So anyhow, it's a fun collection of guests. But before we even talk to Simon about Family Plan 2 and directing action and being kind of a badass director, Matt, it is December 1st today as we record this intro.
It is indeed.
And I believe you wanted to talk about gifting season.
I do. Before I talk about gifting season, though, should we talk about our event?
Oh, yes. Shoot. Yes. When our event's next week. If you're listening to this when the episode comes out, which is December 4th. Yeah. December 10th. Oh, my goodness. Can I go? Oh, no, I have Spanish tutoring that evening. Oh, nope. That's for my daughter. Okay. I can make it. No,
congratulations. Yes.
Let's go. We need to promote this thing more.
I know. That's what I'm doing literally right
okay.
now.
How do people go? Where is it? What's the deal?
It's at Lawless Brewery. We're going back. We're at it again in North Hollywood. That's where we held our last mixer. We had such a great time. We thought, hey guys, can we just come back? This was so fun. The bluegrass band that was there last time, I think, is going to be there this time. So it's going to be a fireside, chill, really fun vibe for us.
And it's like a jam session. So if you play any instrument that would make sense for a bluegrass
band,
bring
your banjo along. Yeah.
If you it has nothing to do with us. We don't. Yeah. We're not going to be playing music.
Yeah, I guess we can't really officially extend the invitation, but I think it's a bluegrass-friendly environment at Lawless Brewery, starting at 7. It's free to hang out. If you go to events.justshootitpod.com, give us an RSVP just so we know how many people are coming. We literally know how many benches to set up. We'll also be selling hats there. If you want a Just Shoot It hat, you want to buy yourself a little Christmas present.
Are we going to do the pizza again?
Yeah, we'll get some pizza.
There'll be pizza. We'll supply the pizza. You buy the beer.
Yeah.
And it's really mainly just a chill hangout. We had a really good crowd last time. A lot of filmmakers, a lot of cinematographers, had some, EPs and producers and things of that nature. So even some actors. So I think if you come, you'll probably for sure have at least one conversation that will lead to you feeling worse about yourself. So please come.
Or better. Or I think a lot of good connections were made for people. So events.justshootitpod.com. Toss us on RSVP, like I said, so we know how much pizza to buy, How many chairs to set up?
Events.justshootapod.com. I'm going there right now. And
I hope it works.
I'm getting a ticket.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ooh, honey, activate rewards. Okay,
Oh,
cool.
good. But
yes. Oh, yes. So let's talk about the real reason for the season.
that's right. Do you send gifts to the people that you work with ever, Oren?
The short answer is no.
No, I know. Yeah.
The long answer is you brought this up and I was like, I didn't really want to talk about gifting because I do feel like if people listen to this podcast that are our peers, that are in the same circles as us, and we talk about like how to email, how to give gift, how to do all that stuff, then everyone will be doing the same thing and it kind of devalues.
Oh, you're gatekeeping. Is that what you...
Yeah. I mean, sure. Gatekeeping. Is gatekeeping the same as just not talking about something?
In today's parlance, yes. Yeah.
Because I was thinking that I want to... my producer, Kelly, one of the producers I worked with, was telling me about a shoot that directed by Nina Meredith, a past guest. And he just like casually mentioned when she was like bringing gifts for the agency. And she said this thing or that thing. And I was like, wait, am I supposed to be bringing gifts for the agency? When this has never occurred to me. Yeah. I mean, I just didn't grow up in like a gift giving kind of family. So it just doesn't come naturally to me to think of it even.
Same. And I think that like, I think you have this in common a little bit. Like, I don't love clutter. Like, I love stuff. I'm surrounded by books behind me, but like, I don't want necessarily more stuff that I didn't pick out myself.
Yeah.
Like
the joke at the agencies is you go there and they all have like 100 bottles of wine and 20 boxes of chocolates that they're just giving the assistants.
So I have sent...
Not that the assistants don't deserve gifts.
Sure, they do. Milk and cookies actually is a gift that I have sent before and I think tends to go over relatively well because it's like, it's unique and also a little seasonal and also like feels immediate. You're like, I don't want this milk to go bad or whatever.
Right.
And that's gone over well.
We have some like wealthier friends and they send as their gift 6-pack of Jenny's ice cream that comes, onto your fun. Porch with the freezer box and the dry ice. But to me, there's something about what we do and you've done such a good job of it, especially like the last 6 months, being in touch. That I've never gone from a job and then like 6 months later emailed the producer or the people that hired me like, hey, like I guess I've always kind of not wanted to be thirsty, and you kind of taught me that you're like you don't need to ask for anything, just say like, hey, happy holidays, hope you're doing well, bye, like treat them like a friend instead of like a colleague or and maybe that's the way to go. So I have been thinking about ways to just like reach out to all the people I worked with this year and just say hello and thank you and happy holidays.
I think that when I was at Comedy Central, I was like relatively low level. And so I spent a lot of time with all the assistants, like they were my peers for sure. And part of their job is like gifting for sure, like season wrap gifts and also seasonal gifts. And so there were multiple meetings that I wasn't really a part of, but I was privy to, like, game planning what the gift should be to talent, right? Like, what do the stars get? What do the department heads get? All of that stuff, right? And like, I'm sure department heads at home are like, what do you mean? I got like a hoodie. Yeah, there was a meeting about it. There was, I promise. But like, if you were like talent, you got like a nice gift. I remember hearing about people getting drones when they were new.
Oh, that's cool.
Like nice jackets for sure.
Military grade drones.
Military grade drones, exactly. But like, what do you get the people who have everything, right? So as a network, tell you what
you don't get them:
ice cream,
USB charger.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you don't want to give people junk. You also want to be remembered. I've brought it up many times on the show, but I think the all-time greatest gift is Oh So Delicious hot sauce from Jordan Brady.
You mean it was great for him to give it to people?
And also I used the very last drop. I thought it was so delicious. For the people who haven't been paying super close attention, our old friend Jordan Brady for a long time had a brand of sauce.
Jordan, if you're listening,
shout out.
Retire.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
He made his own brand of hot sauce that he would like make fun commercials for when he had downtime, and he would give it out. And I thought, boy, that's genius. And when I was on his show, I was like, we need to talk about the hot sauce. Is it because hot sauce has a much longer shelf life, but is still used with frequency. Is that the move? And he's like, part of it, right? So what I'm getting at, like a bottle of wine, ice cream, cookies, all that stuff you consume and then it's gone, right? Or you gift it to people, right? You're like, oh God, I'm already eating so many sweets. I don't want more ice cream. And then you give it to your assistant or whatever.
Right.
The
Or you
point
bring
of
it
the
to a
gift-
holiday party. Yeah.
Yeah. The ulterior motive that we are all playing at is like, hey, I want to show you my gratitude. And also, I want to stay top of mind thanks to this gift. I want it to do a little bit of work for me. So if it's gone in an instant, or even worse, forward it along to someone else, then, that's not the entire point, right? And I think that we're talking a very specific gift category here where it's like,
I think it's less specific than you think. I think like everyone in almost any industry does this. And, any sort of relationship-based industry.
100%. But I guess like what I'm saying is like, so I was the recipient of a number of gift baskets by way of my father-in-law, who was a lawyer. And firms just like everybody, like I never knew who any of these.
Just the chat bots are just mailing each other.
I mean, or the assistants were, right? So it was like a lot of Harry and David wine, and you never knew what came from what or whatever. And I bet that there is like a nice halo effect of him. He feels good that he gets to give, his kids or whatever the treats that he's getting. That's nice. But you give your partner, or your secretary, or like the people in your immediate circle, that's a different sort of situation. You don't just give them a kind of more generic gift. And so, yeah, it's a big question, right? Like, so the difference between, say, the company where you're rostered versus the companies that you work with some frequency, those are kind of two different scenarios. I don't know if I'm going to get my act together to do anything in the first place, but I think it's a worthwhile conversation to have for sure.
I honestly was just thinking, tell me if this is stupid, but of just sending emails and just saying happy holidays.
I don't think that's stupid.
And not even with like an image or anything, like a holiday card. Just great working with you this year. I hope you have a happy holiday. And I mean, maybe a gift maybe is, obviously it's a different type of reach out, but I don't know.
I think it's complicated because companies oftentimes will have a budget for this sort of thing, right? They have like a line item in the budget that says, okay, we spend this much money on gifts. And so, it's kind of like when a company doesn't throw a Christmas party or doesn't, it feels like a little cheap. We're individuals, but we are also companies, right? Yeah. We are also vendors.
To me, it's not the money thing. It's about the making the list, getting the addresses. This colorist that I've worked with a bunch of times this year texted me the other day. He's like, hey, Oren, what's your address? I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm his client,
Yeah, sure. Right, exactly. Yeah. And hopefully his post house is subsidizing that.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
I do
it is smart business, right?
Yeah, telling all the colorists, hey, email all your clients and get their address. My other idea was I have a bunch of these puppies. So I thought maybe just
send a puppy.
Yeah, sending a puppy.
I was thinking about a bottle of olive oil, but maybe a puppy. Yeah, maybe
if you guys want a puppy, if you're watching on YouTube, here's one of the sample puppies.
I think my kid would love one. Let's go for it.
Okay, cool. 4 months old. You know how to potty train, right?
I did it once.
Chat GPT. Yeah, we'll tell you exactly how to do it. And yeah, that's my backup plan if the emails don't work.
So real talk, are you going to send you're just going to send emails?
I mean, I just don't even really know where to start with making the list of who to mail stuff to. And I certainly don't have anybody's addresses.
Sure. Yeah, there is a little bit of a hierarchy too. It's also hard now that oftentimes places are decentralized. I sent College Humor the cookies and milk because I knew there was an office full of people,
right? And
a bunch of them are going to like it. You know what I mean? And then you're not discriminating. It's not just the president of the company; it's your buddies in post who, and the people in production and all of that stuff. Now that people are work from home, it's a lot harder to
Yeah,
send
the Amazon Starbucks gift card. The Bragg brothers, who have the most amazing business card, by the way. You saw this, right?
Yeah.
They gave me a $25 gift certificate to Trader Joe's, and it was both personal and I used it, and it was probably not that difficult for them to get. So that was a good. One.
Really thoughtful, really funny. That's because there's a run around this show where you talk about how much you love Trader Joe's.
Yes.
So that's a grand slam, right?
Yeah.
If it was Starbucks instead, still really thoughtful. Right. But you haven't voiced your love for Starbucks.
Well, I
whatever.
do mention my favorite
Yeah, I guess
Starbucks on
you do.
Hillhurst,
That's
but
true.
yeah,
That's true.
I'm very easy to buy for because I am like the consummate consumer. Yeah, give
Yeah.
me a Target gift card. I'll be so happy. Anyhow,
Yeah.
well, let's talk to Simon. Maybe he'll give us some insights on how to blast the gift list. We were curious. I mean, you have like such a long resume, even just like the recent stuff, you know, The Expanse and See, The Diplomat, Family Plan, Power, Bloodline, Ballers. Like can you just tell us like your transition from just kind of being a filmmaker to kind of starting to work on these big Hollywood productions?
Yeah, I'm very proud to say my first job was mailboy at 20th Century Fox in London.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That is
Like
great.
in the mailroom?
in the mailroom, literally the mailroom.
Yeah.
So I didn't go to film school. I didn't go to college, that sort of stuff. I sort of started there, then, did running jobs, PA jobs. And then I worked at the BBC, which, in those days was just like the best school in the world. And just grinded along there. And the way I started working with you Americans is I worked on a great show written by David Simon called Generation Kill.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Which was made in England through British people, but David wrote it. And, that was HBO, my first time with HBO. And, it was a big, big show. They were ambitious. There was a lot of character in it and a lot of action. And I just loved it. It was just a whole new deal with me. And David Simon, I'm a huge fan of. And
Wait,
he
what were
said,
you doing on it?
directing.
Oh, that was your
Right.
first. So you'd already directed a ton of other
I
things.
directed a ton of stuff in England, but that was my first sort of American show, I guess.
Okay.
I'm curious, actually. Normally, I don't like to rewind this far, but I'm curious, since you started in the mailroom and then you were PAing, I think there's probably a lot of people out there listening who are PAs now, and they're like, well, how the heck? Like, you did it, buddy. How did you go from those early jobs to leapfrogging up to directing? Right? Like, yeah.
Well, I worked at the BBC. I was a location manager, which is a really cool job. It's kind of lonely, but you're out trying to find the locations, the visual feel of the film, and that was a really good thing. And then, what I did was I borrowed a lot of money and I made my own little half-hour film. And in those days, you couldn't use these things.
No iPhones. Sure.
No iPhone.
Yeah.
We shot it on Super 16mm, and every time you do another take, it costs you £20 because of the purchasing of the film. So you learn super fast like that when you're paying for your own stuff, that if you screw up, you pay for it. If you screw up, it's another £20, another £50. So yeah, making my own film, I'm sure you guys would agree. If you want to be a filmmaker, you have to make films, and it doesn't have to be a $500 million American movie. It can be something that's a personal story, but you've got to make those films, and that's how you learn.
Yeah, love it. What
And
was
was
the
it-
film about?
Yeah, it was an action.
It was it was about a pigeon fancier, like the Marlon Brando guy on the top of the roof, and a relationship he had with the woman next door when his pigeon fell down her chimney.
Mm.
It was kind of a
Pretty
real
good,
sweet little film.
Yeah.
And I managed to sell it to the BBC, and got good reviews. And then I did the BBC have a director's course, and I went to them and I said, "Listen, guys, I've just made a film." They said, "Okay, you can do it." So yeah, and then I sort of started.
Simon, you make it sound so easy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I feel like back then it was. There's only like 7 kids that were borrowing the money to make that
Well,
30-minute film.
You got to borrow the money. I mean, I
Sure.
was getting a mortgage at the time, and I just got a bigger mortgage. And then, of course, so it took me 20 years to pay the money back. But make your own films. And working in TV was brilliant for me because, I'm working on low budget stuff, and you don't have the option to go over budget. You don't have the option to go over schedule. So you learn damn fast that you've got to have a plan. You've got to know what you want, and you've got to tell people what you want and communicate it.
And so how did you get into like the action stuff? I mean, you do kind of such big set pieces now.
The Generation Kill was the sort of, this is I guess this is about 15 years ago, something like that. That was the first time I was on something that was really kind of big and kind of a lot of moving parts, a lot of stress.
Is that like a war?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about the recon Marines going into Iraq.
Okay. And is that where you kind of learned how to like block big scenes and work with like second units and stunt coordinators and all that stuff?
Exactly. Yeah. We had a couple of, huge set pieces, night battles, 20 Humvees driving across the desert. And it's easy to sort of think you know what you want, but you have to plan it out because, as you guys know, 10% of directing is the creative talent stuff, and 90% of it is the sweat and the prep and the fear and the, oh my God, I'm going to be a failure, but how do I stop that?
Well, I guess to me, like, because shooting 20 Humvees at night, like a night battle scene, I've never done anything really quite like that. We've had some people that have worked on Game of Thrones on the podcast and stuff, and I feel like I never quite got a satisfactory answer of like how you start planning that. Like, is it just you just start with a shot list? You just look at the script and close your eyes and think like, ooh, we want a wide shot of the battlefield.
Well, a little bit of that. I think what you do is you work out you forget about shots at first. You just work out the action, what happens. So they drive along here, and then two of them go that way, and two of them go that way, and then those two get caught in a firefight, and so on.
And what's driving those decisions, even like on that first, what are the beats of the action, right? Like obviously you've got the script, but are you taking the terrain of the location into consideration?
You absolutely start with the script, because the script, especially if you're David Simon as a writer, the script is clear. He knows what he wants. He knows he wants it to be authentic. He wants it to be based on what really happened, which is pretty much all we did. And then you adapt it to, it was great being a location manager, because it taught me early on to sort of see a location as a place that had to be filled with life and people and action and character. And of course, action stuff is great, but it doesn't really work unless you care about the people involved in the action. So
how did you learn that?
Well, I think you try and put yourself, I've been to a lot of war zones, but I've never fought in a war. But you try and put yourself in that Humvee, and you try to imagine what it's like to have people firing at you.
Sorry, when you say you've been to a lot of war zones, do you mean active war zones? Or do you mean you've scouted locations where...
No, I had a thing when I was kind of, I won't call it a war tourist, but I had a friend who worked for the London Times, and I would work as his photographer, and I would go with him to Lebanon and Russia and Afghanistan. And, it was so exciting. I mean, it's not exciting for people involved in the war, but please don't think I'm saying that. But as me, seeing a place that's different from London, New York, all that, it was really exciting. So I had a sense of what it was like to be frightened and what it was like to be excited and what the adrenaline does in these places.
That's incredible. So, I also love that you just kind of drove right past it. You're like, I've been to a handful of wars, no big deal. Just to drill into it a little bit more, are you, so you're photographing all of these, larger than life, let's say, I don't want to be insensitive or anything.
No, but
like these really intense experiences. Do you then, especially in those early days, do you bring that up? Are you like, in what ways did that experience inform your approach to battle sequences thereafter? Right.
A lot. Yeah, a lot. Because, it's when you're an invading army or a defending army, you have strategy and you have equipment and you have logistics and you have fancy equipment, but also it's different from making a movie because it's real life and death, it's real fear. So that gave me a sort of sense of what it was like. I wouldn't pretend to know what it's like to be in the full firefight because I was shot at, but I was never bombed. But so I think when you're doing a battle scene, you try and imagine what it's like for the people in there rather than the big, that's a cool wide shot with a helicopter flying across it. Sure, you want that, but you also want the emotion of what the person in that Humvee is feeling when that helicopter flies overhead.
Well, that wide shot, though, it sounds like you care very much about the subjective POV of the people, right? Like, what's it like to be there? And that's your goal as a filmmaker, maybe, to tell the story. But there is a little bit of the geography of it all, right? And sometimes having that epic wide shot, and you see these Humvees driving from left to right, and then you see, some people defending their village or whatever, like looking from right to left. That's part of, if you want the audience to keep track of what's going on, that's like a big part of it. Heck, tell us like how you, because to me, that's like action scenes. What makes them difficult and interesting is you need people to know who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, especially at night.
I think that's a really, really important point. I mean, because if it's just a mass of explosions and stuff, that could be cool. It could be visually or emotionally rewarding and stuff. But, it's a story. The guys start here, they drive to they get shot at, they survive, a couple of them get hurt, whatever. And like I say, you're hopefully creating characters that the audience is invested in, but you also need the audience to know what the fuck is going on. Otherwise, it just becomes confusing.
Right. And so do you have strategies for that? Do you do like an overhead kind of drawing of the battle and put cameras on there and stuff?
Yeah, the best, exactly that. And if anything with vehicles, you get toy vehicles. If you're doing a car chase or if you're doing a car going off a cliff or whatever, you start with the toy vehicles and you put them where they are. If two of them are going to crash, you sort of try and work out one's coming down this street, one's coming down another street. And, with your stunt people and your DP, you're just trying to sort of map out exactly what happens, and then you can be selective about what bits you shoot. And then, of course, when you edit, it's a different story as well.
I love that. I'm going to dig in. This is juvenile. Are you the person buying the cars? Is it important that they match the make and model? Or is it just evocative? What scale are they?
I don't know. We have, they're kind of this big, the cars.
Like matchbox size, basically?
Like matchbox, exactly. Okay. Ideally, they will be like the cars. So I just did a car chase recently in this movie. We had a Range Rover and then we had an East German Trabant. And they did kind of match, actually. And this one was the wrong color, and that really bugged me. And I don't find the right color, but Yeah.
But it's not your private collection. You're not like,
no, it's not. I don't go that deep into it.
Yeah. That's great. That's really fun. I love so much that you use toys to do the previs, because it's like, that's what you would do if you were 10 and you were trying to figure something out.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it makes me think of, the previs on the Mad Max, the most recent round. They started, I guess this is all hearsay, but I'd heard that they would use toys similarly. And then they developed basically an Unreal Engine based previs system that they named Toy Box for that reason, because they were like, hey, let's bring out the toys. But I still think it's probably better just to have the cars on the table. Are you shooting it as well? Are you pulling out your iPhone and being like, oh, this is kind of an angle we're thinking of? Or
absolutely. And I think I personally, you sometimes do basic, CAD or software previses, but I tend to be, as long as I've got a storyboard that gives me the basis of it, and that's because you end up drawing hundreds of frames, or I have a storyboard artist, and then you could just put those frames in different orders. And so that's an editing pattern emerging. And you pin it up on the wall, and then this time you can get the color of the cars right. It's worth having a few colors in a storyboard. I always, don't just go for pencil drawings, okay?
That's great. That's great.
How do you board kind of all your action sequences? Is that kind of your prior process? Even for TV?
Yeah. So for a big action sequence, it's always worth doing some kind of board, because you might change it later, but it's really good to just pin it up on a board. I'm a great one for pinning photographs of locations and frames of the film and stuff up there, because you can, you just have a long line of things, and it's like sort of watching film, that gives you a starting point. And then of course, when you get to the actual location, go, gee, this doesn't look like a drawing, but and then you have to improvise.
Yeah. Is that still like your process today? I mean, I know when I do a lot of boards, it's usually I'm with my storyboard artist, Julieta. We're on a Zoom call together, and I'm describing her. Sometimes I'll do like really kind of rough sketches, and we just go shot by shot, and she just kind of draws them on the iPad. Is that the same thing you're doing?
That's exactly the same thing. I try and draw pictures occasionally to show the artist, but I am horrible as a drawing person. My God, it's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
If I draw a horse, the guy goes, why is that dog with very short legs fighting that man? You go, no, he's not.
That angry dog. Where's that in the script? That's great. I love that. I'm curious, drifting off of the storyboards at all, and this is truly my ignorance, but as a dialogue director, I'll run the entire scene from an angle, right? But do you do the same with action? And like if you're like, obviously like there's certain style shots where it's like, yes, you can run the whole scene, right? But like there's definitely got to be like insert shots where it's kind of like, well, this is where I want the camera for the explosion or the punch or whatever that may be.
This is where the axe cuts his arm off.
And then it basically just dies. Are you looking to like build longer takes? Or are you okay with just like tiny little snippets? And how do you decide what beats get the full treatment versus what is you're kind of being a little bit more precise with, like picking off a specific moment?
Yeah, I like to run little chunks of action, longer chunks of action if I can. I mean, with a car chase or something like that, you break it down geographically. The two cars are chasing each other here. They go down this street. You've got some stop, and then one of the cars hits something, and you're going to stop at that point.
Sure.
Because obviously you can't carry on. And then, like you say, there's going to be a few special shots where you probably, you get a lot of these as you go, but some of them you just need to set up specifically.
Specifics. Yeah.
And you Ridley Scott it, right? You put like 16 cameras on it.
And you put a lot, I mean, we've all learned from Ridley, yeah.
Sure.
Which he does for dialogue scenes too.
Sir Ridley, Oren. Sir Ridley.
I mean, that's a guy. I mean, come on. He's damn cool.
Have you met him? It sounds like you have.
I have never met him, but I would love to. I mean, I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Well, I hope we're not being too insulting by just diving so deep into action, because like clearly you do a lot of comedy yourself.
No,
if you took Ballers or Jessica Jones or The Family Plan, do you have any kind of advice or go-to methods to keep the action, to weave comedy into the action?
Well, that's basically, like I said before, you really need to know how the characters are feeling during the action. And also, we had in the previous Family Plan we had a situation where at that stage of the movie, the family didn't know about Dan, the Mark Wahlberg's past, that he was in fact a former assassin, and he did not want his family to know. So he was driving in this car, and then some motorbikes started chasing him. So he had to flee them and attack them and drive them off their bikes, but he had to not wake up the family. So that was kind of a fun thing.
It's really fun. It's so fun.
Humor beat.
Right.
Do
you try to make? Oh, sorry to interrupt, but to me, I guess if I was directing a scene like that, you kind of like one beat is him doing something super assassiny, and then the next beat is something him doing super dad.
Sure.
Right. Like he steps on the Lego and he's got the
He's like trying
That's exactly right. And in that scene, the only family member who was awake was his 18-month-old baby. So he had to keep the baby happy and make the baby not shut. And also the baby helped him. The baby passed him the baby's bottle, and then he sprayed the motorbike driver with baby milk, causing him to crash.
Right.
It's so fun.
It's funny. It's funny how Michelle Moynihan has just she's kind of like the action comedy.
She's, she's been cool for a while.
Plus White Lotus.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. But she's always been cool, but no, I think she's just really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I remember, what's that movie she did with Shia LaBeouf back in the day? Like Eagle Eye or something? Oh, she's really good in it too. I might have accidentally fallen in love with her in that movie.
Also Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Kiss Bang Bang.
She's so good in that movie.
Isn't she gorgeous in that?
Yeah, incredible.
It's a really fun movie.
Yeah. Well, that kind of brings me to another question that's maybe a little off script, but like, if you go through your resume, it's so huge, but like you hear names like Mark Wahlberg or The Rock, these kind of like larger than life movie stars who have like a real, the reputation is that they have a real on-set presence beyond just being great superstars, but they're producing their own work. They're really like hands-on and making their own stuff. What do you have any insight into how you operate with like a person who's sort of like larger than life and bringing that sort of authority to the role and then the picture outside of it,
Well, yeah, I mean, Mark's a good example because he's a full-blown producer on I've done 3 films with him, and he's been a full producer, and that's not just a courtesy title,
Sure. No, he's like for real. Yeah.
He's for real. If he wanted to be, he could shout at people and they'd all go, okay, yes, we'll do whatever you say.
Sure.
But the cool thing about him is that he could do that, but he doesn't. What he likes to do, I've found, is he likes to empower people. So instead of frightening them or forcing them into doing his will, he comes to set with a super professional attitude. He knows his shit. He really does. And it's incredible the way he works with a camera. So he just brings a very high level to work, and everyone else goes, "Ooh, wow, okay, this guy's really good. We better raise our game."
Cool.
So he's like a workaholic too, right? I feel like I read an article years ago about how he doesn't like waste any time. He doesn't like have idle time where he just hangs out and does nothing.
That's it. No, he doesn't. He's always doing stuff. He loves to have a very simple makeup situation. So he doesn't want to spend 45 minutes in the chair. He doesn't want to have a fussy wardrobe thing. He loves to work fast. He loves to have, like I say, he's always got a really good idea of what he's supposed to do. And he always knows his lines and everyone else's lines. But he also loves to have a little bit of leeway, a little bit of ability to improvise. So when I'm working with Mark, I know him reasonably well. I kind of set up before he arrives. We usually work with 3 cameras, and I have pretty much an idea of how I want to shoot it, how I want to edit it and stuff like that. So he turns on, I say, look, here's the area. Maybe you could do this and go over here and stuff, but you've got leeway. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. And I think, so, he usually fits roughly into it. And he knows that if he goes a certain place, he's not lit, or the camera will see the catering truck or whatever. He's got this incredible instinct.
He's a filmmaker.
Yeah. He doesn't even have to stop and think about it. He just walks in, and he will walk on set, and then later he'll say, "Hey, the sun guys, they seem a little tired," or whatever. I don't know, something that he's noticed. You go, "Jesus, how did you notice that?" It's really fun, actually.
When you say you set your setup before he arrives, and this is probably useful for our listeners, especially someone that's like working with a celebrity for the first time or something. I remember, we get a lot of new filmmakers email us, and they're like, "Hey, we're doing our first commercial, we're doing our first celebrity, or we're doing this. Like, any tips?" Like when I've worked with celebrities, especially on kind of more action blocking type stuff, you do have their double, and you're kind of running the whole scene with them. And then when they come in, you're like, okay, so this is what I was thinking. You start over here, you spin here, you're ducking under the window. We follow you, the steady cam's over here. Is that like, but I guess with the Mark Wahlberg, where he's also the producer and he's also the lead and he's also like a big creative force behind these things. Is it the same thing? Like you kind of work it all out with a double and then you show it to him?
Yeah, I will often do that. Or sometimes we don't even, if it's a specific action thing, then yes, absolutely. Because you want to get the safety thing sorted and you want to get the efficiency thing sorted. You don't want to do it 4 times because he's very game. He'll do a fall or a roll or a smash. And out of respect for him, I don't want to make him do it 5 times because it hurts.
Yeah,
sure.
I learned that the hard way. When the whole stunt team decided to quit my shoot because they're like, "How many times is this guy going to make us fall down?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I thought you were wearing pants." Yeah.
It's a mistake you only make once. You're like, shoot, sorry guys. Thought you were superhuman.
Well, exactly. But every actor's different. For example, some actors wouldn't want you to set up the cameras first. They'd want to rehearse the scene, work out the blocking, and then you shoot around that. So if that's how an actor likes to work, I'll do it like that.
It's also a trade-off, your point about like, he doesn't want to spend a ton of time in the chair, like in hair and makeup. That's normally, or if you can run a blocking rehearsal, send them off, then you have 30, 40 minutes to kind of like get your ducks in order.
The lighting in.
If he's like in and out in 10 minutes, you can't really adjust much,
He turns up ready. That's right. So you can't just go sit down and go, "Well, what do you think about this?" So have a plan at the beginning, and then sometimes he'll do exactly what I thought he was going to do. Sometimes he'll say, "Hey, wait a minute, what about this?" And so I can go, "Hey, I'll make a tiny adjustment." Then we can easily do that.
Yeah.
I read Roman Polanski's autobiography many years ago, and he talked about Rosemary's Baby, how they would shoot that movie. They would come into the apartment in the morning. He'd have no idea how he's going to shoot it. It's him and the cinematographer, and the actors would he's like, just do wherever you'd go, do what you want. They'd like block out the scene, and then everyone would go to lunch, and then after lunch they shot it. And I'm like, what a dream, But I think nowadays, when they're like, "You got Mark for 3 hours today," we got to shoot these 5 scenes.
I think we also forget how big of a director he was at the time too. Like,
yeah.
you know,
And these are kind of dialogue relationship scenes when you talk about Rosemary's Baby. It's not like they're jumping through a window.
Sure.
or flipping a car.
I mean, the one good thing about Mark is he commits. So it's very rare that he comes and says, "Hey, you got 3 hours, then I'm out of here." You know. But on the other hand, the sort of payback for that is he wants to know that I'm being as efficient as possible. So he'll work for 12 hours straight, and he'll do lots of takes if he thinks it's necessary, and you know, he trusts people. But you know, I would normally try and get him out of there in a few takes. You know, the worst thing you can do with an actor like that is just keep them hanging around while you try and work out what the fuck you're doing. Then they're just going to go, "Guys, why? You know, I'm ready. Why aren't you?"
Yeah. Then someone else is directing the sequel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm interested back to like the comedy of it all. Even like going back to Jessica Jones, which is a show I like absolutely loved. I feel like that was one of the first Marvel TV shows, right? That people were like, "Holy cow, this is really good." How much do you think of like framing and camera work? How much does that affect the comedy? You know, does that question make sense?
Yes, it absolutely makes sense. I think comedy, the cliche is comedy works best in wide shot, because although you can change timing if you're cutting between two different shots easily, and sometimes that's great. It's great to see people together, and physical comedy needs a little bit of air. It needs that medium long shot or even a full wide shot just to see the body language, you know, again. Although, you know, Mark is very good at comedy as well. And you know, his little looks on his sides and his little movements and stuff are so fun that I just want to be careful I'm not too sort of lasered in so I miss stuff.
Yeah, I do think of like the standard Mark Wahlberg movie trailer. There's like always a great medium shot of him just saying something funny or doing something.
Yeah, well, exactly. Exactly.
An awkward fumble. Yeah. Do you find that you kind of work the same with like a Mark Wahlberg as you do with like a Jason Momoa or the Dwayne Johnson?
Everyone's a little bit different. You know, Jason is a sweetheart. He has a different thing, but he comes in really prepared, and he wants a little bit of room. He doesn't want me to tell him how to be straight off the bat. He says he's kind of working it out, and he says, I remember early on, one of my first scenes with him, I sort of tried to describe what I wanted him to do just a little too clearly. And he was very nice, but he said, "Listen, just for a minute, just let me do my thing." Okay. Yeah, that's cool. That's great. So give the guy some leeway. And then, you know, after that, when he's sort of found his way, then he'll listen to other thoughts. But give them some leeway. Let them do their thing. Because that movie stars for a reason.
Yeah, it is funny. It's kind of fun when you have someone who does their thing. If you have Tom Cruise and you're like, "Hey, don't do your thing, okay? Let's maybe just like take a little step here, look over here, maybe raise one eyebrow."
Right.
Like,
see you on the next one, Oren.
Do all these American actors, do they just respect you so much more because of your accent, do you think?
I don't know. I think it's funny, a lot of British people come to LA and they work and they kind of sneer about LA. They go, "Oh, it's so fake." And I thought I would do that. And I got there, and when I started working, I went, I kind of love this city.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And so I think that people, actors, and everyone, they love people who love what they're doing. They love people who've got half a plan at least. And, you know, my only talent is energy. You know, I'm really excited the whole time. I just love it. It's so fun. And I couldn't break it down and tell them how to be Shakespearean or like Strindberg or anything like that. You know, I'm fairly straightforward, and you know, you say little things as you go rather than tell them how to do it from the start.
Is that something you learned, you think, or that you kind of naturally or energetic? Because for me, I feel like my natural state is just like super chill, relaxed, like not stressed out. The other day, I was actually got into a fight with someone on the street.
I'm sorry. I've known Oren for a decade.
Oh, no, sorry. I am stressed out as like a human being. Sorry, not maybe low energy is what I meant. Like, I'm not like known as like the loud person.
Yeah. You're not the life of the party, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
More of the wallflower type, especially like in high school and college. I mean, I think since I met Matt, I've been a director, but it took me years to kind of realize that your attitude on set is kind of steering the ship.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
That even if you're tired or didn't sleep well or have something bad going on in your own personal life, you still need to come in and be like, yes, we're making magic.
I feel like for movie stars, they all have a moment when they realize that too, right? And then the guys like Momoa or Wahlberg or Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I'm certain that they are giving that same sort of the sort of professionalism that you're talking about. They're intending to lead by example, right?
Yes, very much. So.
Like I remember when I worked on Key and Peele, I saw the way the two, Jordan and Keegan, would both do different versions of that, right? Like Jordan was always like the quiet genius, like you and Keegan was like just work in the room. Like everybody loved that guy. Do you know what I mean? Just like laughing, doing bits, just keeping energy up on long, long, hard days. And it's easy to forget that, like, everyone's who's making a movie is in it because they love making movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that energy is pervasive, right? Like when people are appreciative and that when they're at the top of their game, you want to rise to it. I think also to your point, Simon, about like Los Angeles, people don't realize how like blue collar and working class making movies is. We only see the red carpet version, and you forget that like our coworkers are construction workers, they're craftspeople, like we're working 12 hours all the time. All of that stuff people just miss out on. Like people work hard and they're humble in Los Angeles and any filmmaking community, just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right, it's as a director or a leading actor, being number one on the call sheet is a big deal. And you can either be an asshole and then everyone else ends up being assholes, or you can be cool and fun and respectful and just really good. And that's what I prefer. I find one thing I find fun of me being British, we're sort of a little more sarcastic, a little jokingly rude maybe. And, a few times I've said something and then everyone just stops and goes, geez, did he just say that? And then you either apologize or you double down, you say it again.
Yes, I will have the spotted dick.
Right. After a while, there's all the first few days when I'm working is always a little nerve-wracking because people go, who is this guy?
Yeah.
I had another question about the family plan specifically, because it's a movie, right? There's pangs of like Mr. and Mrs. Smith and these other movies that are kind of these big action comedies. Do you like when you're figuring out how to shoot this movie, and these are features, right? So TV, I feel like you're given a little bit more of a sandbox to play in, and features, you're more figuring out what that sandbox is.
Right.
How much do you study other movies in the genre, or how much do you try to not study them or separate yourself from them? Or
especially with a film there's so much pastiche, there's so much that you're kind of riffing on, right? Yeah.
It's a great question. I sort of think of films I've seen. I try not to, just block out the whole genre and watch it because too near the time, because otherwise I'll either consciously or more likely subconsciously end up copying stuff. And, you can copy stuff in a fun way, but if you're just...
You can reference, Simon, referencing. Yeah.
Homage.
Yeah. Were there films that you did find yourself referencing during the shooting of this film? Like,
well, yeah. I mean, for some... So I tell you one thing I did do. I just watched hundreds of car chases because we had a medium-sized car chase in this, and we all love a car chase. And there are so many great ones out there. And
throw out a few.
Oh, okay. Well, probably the best one I would say is The French Connection.
It's the best. Best of all time.
The car chase under the owl. And that is just, I think a lot of that they filmed without permission. I think the director was operating the camera, a lot of it, and there was a stunt driver. They were dangerous. You would get sued. No.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, obviously Bullet is a great one. It's a really long one. And
McQueen.
Remember the Blues Brothers?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
There's I mean, that's just absurd. There's like 200 police cars.
Any contemporary ones like Matrix, Dark Knight, or
or The Italian Job,
or the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, the Fast and the Furious is great. Those are really our car movies, aren't they? But The Italian Job. What was fun about that was it was kind of a comedy, that film, as you know. And that was one of the famous car chases or the car heist chases, and then suddenly these 3 minis are on the top of a building for no reason other than it was fun.
Yeah.
And then they're going down the sewer and they're going like that.
That's so fun.
Baby Driver had some really cool car sequences too that were all practical.
Yeah, there was a great one at the beginning, wasn't there?
Yeah, I love that in the beginning one.
And even Drive.
The red car and everything. Drive, the beginning of Drive.
Yeah, that sequence where he's leaving Dodger Stadium or the Lakers
and
Staples Center.
Yeah, he's like waiting out in the parking garage, and that's so good.
Such good storytelling with like no dialogue, and that's cool. Do you do most of your car stuff? I mean, we spoke a little bit before we started recording that you prefer to do everything as practically as possible. Do you do a lot of is your car stuff, do you ever shoot like on blue screen or like on a volume wall or anything? Or?
I mean, when you've got, but partly for time and quality, but also for safety, you can't get those close-ups of all the characters actually doing the car chase. You do a lot of it, but then we did it. We had a car on a gimbal with all the actors going like that. Like that. We covered all the dialogue, and we found lots of extra jokes because we had enough time to do it. And then, so that was blue screen. But
have you ever had a rig like the No Country for Old Men rig where like somebody else is driving the car than the actual driver?
Yes, that's we call it a podcar, where you have either on the side or on the roof. You have a driver. So, and this is why you can actually do stuff for real. So the kid who was driving it, and he had a wheel that was not attached to anything. So it just looked like he was driving because we had 5 cameras all around the car filming through the streets.
So the car's really driving, but he's just not steering it.
Exactly.
And I'm curious, under what circumstances is it better to do Podcar, right? Or process trailer, blue screen or volume or something like that? What makes you decide between the two?
Yeah. And are you the one that's deciding this usually, I guess?
Yeah.
Usually, yes, unless people disagree with me or won't pay for it. Yeah, I mean, 90% of the time, I would rather go for some kind of real thing, the podcar thing, because you've got the actors in the real car, you've got the backgrounds, you've got the other cars, you can see them for real. You can fake that, and you can shoot footage. You've got that. You have a car with 8 cameras going in all directions. So I forget what they call it now. But it's where it's shooting all the backgrounds for you. But you get the better reactions from the actors if they're really in a street rather than they're in a studio and their coffee's just over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've driven, or sorry, I was just going to, I made this kind of little car chase movie years ago, and we shot almost all practically, which is how I wanted to do it. But before that, I never realized just how annoying the sun direction is. It's like, okay, we got to wait till we're on this street to do the scene, and then we got to drive all the way around, make this U-turn, because we had
motion
lights,
sick too. I get motion sick.
And you're on the back of the truck, just inhaling the fumes of the generators, that are operating your lights,
sucking on ginger candies somebody gave you.
The thing I hate most in this business is the process trailer, because it just drives me mad. It takes so long to rig. What I quite like to do is, we've been shooting all the actors. They've got long dialogue scenes. We blast the car with cameras. We had 6 cameras on the car, and I sit in the trunk with a monitor so I can talk to the actors. And either the podcast drive it, or often Mark Wahlberg or whoever is actually driving it for real. You just send it off, because the minute there's a process trailer, like you say, how do you make a U-turn with that thing?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just sucks.
I think there's also something, something about the way that you place cameras on a real car versus, you can put the camera anywhere you want when you're in a virtual environment.
Yeah.
It takes the audience out of it. Do you know what I mean? I think there's something about even like a Russian arm, it's anchored in reality in a way that changes it,
Yeah. We had a friend on Lawson that's a VFX artist, and he has a company, a VFX house, and he talked about making car chases look good. He said, don't put the camera or move the camera in a way that you could never do in real life,
Yeah.
Don't just go in and out of the car window and come out,
Exactly. I think, and the Russian arm is a really cool thing, especially for stunt work, because it's like those guys are master drivers, and I'm sitting in the back seat going, Jesus Christ, we nearly. But then I'm going, oh, it's so great, we nearly hit them.
But also those guys, they're a little crazy. Do you know what I mean? They're so good at defying death that they get a little cocky and you're like, could you please, like, we don't need to get that close. Like, please stop.
And the acceleration on their like Mercedes G-Wagons or whatever they're using.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, I was curious. I know we're kind of running out of time, but just like my last kind of question about action scenes in general is like, what are some of the tools and methods that have changed over the last like 15 years or so? Like that, it could be like a Russian arm versus, probably you didn't have Podcars like 20 years ago, but are there other kind of cool things, whether it's, VFX or digital stuff or just tools to launch people across the room?
There's volume studios, although they're much more of a fuss than they pretend. The obvious one, which applies to sort of a tracking vehicle for cars and stuff like that, is the drone. Because that is, we've all done, I mean, that's the biggest revolution in filmmaking, I would say, because it used to be you had to have a helicopter and the helicopter had to land every 4 minutes because you could only use a mag. Although now, of course, you've got longer cards. But yeah, a drone is fun, I think, because it just lets you get right on someone's shoulder, like a motorbike or whatever, and wrap around without seeing the vehicle that the Russian arm is mounted on. Obviously you have to avoid seeing that.
Right. Wait, what's a motorbike? Is that
motorbike?
Motorbike. Oh, motorbike.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like,
It's like, this
a
sounds
murder.
cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to have I wish I could bring a motorbike to you.
Do you ever miss the helicopters?
Yeah, I love helicopters.
Yeah.
And I usually find a way to do some helicopter shots.
Cool.
I will tell you the best thing, and we were filming over London recently, and what I always do, I do two things, which is really bad, actually. First of all, I say to the helicopter pilot, okay, for this bit here, pretend you're in Vietnam and you've had 2 grams of cocaine, which is
to the helicopter pilot.
Yeah, they love that. They go,
they're like, I remember well.
Yeah, exactly. But also what I do is I get them to go high, and then I say, drop the nose. And they always know what that means. They just literally drop the nose, and the helicopter just starts falling and you go weightless. And it's so exciting.
If you're doing a action feature film and you could choose to either carry a drone for the whole shoot or a techno crane, what do you choose?
I love a techno crane. And I think drones they're really cool, but they can be quite fussy and stuff. So I think, a techno crane mounted on a really powerful tracking vehicle or a Russian arm or whatever, I think that's going to get you more good shots, although the drone will definitely get you some good stuff.
Yeah. I just pitched on a job where it's for a gas station company. It's a commercial for a chain of gas stations. And their logo of the gas station is on these giant canopies above the pumps that are really high like 30 feet off the ground. And I was thinking, like, should I just do it as something that would have been a jib shot for like ever since we started filmmaking now just seems like more of a drone shot, but it's hard for me to figure that out. That's why I'm asking.
Simon, your point of like, they're so fussy. I think just get a jib, Oren.
That's what I think. I mean, I've worked with a couple of great drone operators. Quite often it's not that the people turn up and the drone, it doesn't quite turn.
It takes a second to balance and
be careful with the safety, and they say, I don't want to keep it so close to the actor, and drones are fantastic and I love them. But give me a really cool fluid techno crane.
Yeah. I guess I've never shot with like an FPV drone, like the ones where you can follow the motorcycle and do all that insane stuff. I've only done like the Inspires.
I'm sure we've all seen the crazy YouTube videos in the bowling alleys.
Sure. Have you seen Ambulance? The Bay LA music?
It's really not the way. But that had the most famous helicopter pilot in LA, a guy called Fred North. I think he was the key guy there. But that's fun down the LA River.
Yeah. But those drone shots, Matt turned me onto that movie. He's like, it's probably the most insane drone shot movies. Yeah. I remember my brother has a band and I pitched this music video. I was like, what if it's a one-shot music video, but we get all the neighbors in the neighborhood to be in on it. And we set different members of the band in different houses, and we're just flying from backyard to backyard. And we're meeting this like during the chorus, we're in the air, and then we land with like the singer over here, and we land with the drum solo over here. And I had a drone, just like a DJI Phantom that I was doing. I was like, let's just see if we can do it, do a little test, and I could not even get like three landings, to work on time.
Have you seen the drone shot I think it's in Sydney Harbour during a firework display.
No.
Oh,
I haven't
check
seen
that out.
I've seen firework ones.
But it's unbelievable, and I don't know why it doesn't get blown up. But it's like fireworks exploding.
It's like right next to it. Yeah.
I do like seeing drone footage of like drones getting hit by hoses and people shooting them.
Yes, and birds.
Who was I? I was just hanging out with someone. I cannot remember who it was or where they live, but they told me that that Amazon is delivering things in their neighborhood by drone.
That's what they say. Yeah.
That it's already happening, which is
and there are companies. You know,
crazy.
when you're a fisherman in Canada, the travel company will send a drone over with cold beers and drop them by.
That I'm okay with. That's fine.
that we agree is a good thing.
Yeah,
well, what do you have next? I mean, I know you said family plan. You're just catching your breath a little bit, coming up for air.
I don't know. I mean, I'd love Mark Wahlberg. I will work on any movie with Mark Wahlberg. But you know, I still hark back to those sort of edgy, cool films from the 70s. You know, like I was watching The French Connection the other day, and you know that sort of grit and drive and edge. I think, you know, we've lost a little bit of that. The 70s. You know, it makes me sound like an old fart, I guess, but you know, that was a real forward-thinking filmmaking era.
You know, I was thinking about the 70s specifically just recently because there's so like, you know, there's all those paranoia thrillers and like, we're just kind of like reflecting on the state of the world in that era.
Yeah.
And it feels, all of those movies feel really timely right now in a bad way, but in an enjoyable way from a film perspective, but from a bad way from the state of the world. And so I wonder if we're going to enter a new 70s soon. Actually, from a filmmaking perspective.
Like, you know, the parallax view and and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And does the TV stuff, you just you get a call from your agent, or does that also work by like kind of people you know? And
it's usually, you know, I've good agents, but yeah, it's usually people you've worked with before. And that's then you've already got a shorthand going.
Well, when you've worked with a bunch of movie stars and also HBO, Simon, I bet the phone rings pretty frequently. Yeah,
we love we still love HBO.
Yeah, it's cool.
You have such a cool resume. I mean, even like Bloodline, we were like obsessed with that when it came out. Ben Mendelsohn, that guy is such a nice.
So good.
He's from Australia, so the C word in Australia is not.
It's like saying, "Hey,"
very.
It's like saying,
He won during the one time. He said in a very friendly way, "Hey, listen, you stupid C word." The whole crew just went. I think he had to find them all, you know, and apologize. They loved him because he was so. But just that, it's like I was saying, when you have a culture clash, you can make a little mistake, and everyone goes, "Ooh, who is what's going on?"
That's like you guys and the word fanny, right? We just think of it as a butt. Or a pack. Yeah. But yeah, no, I love seeing kind of the range of things you've done, from like really funny things to like The Diplomat, like just a straight political thriller drama, you know, Bloodline, like family kind of, you know, underscored subtle drama, and then Jessica Jones and everything. It's really fun.
Yeah,
Family Plan, which is just so four quadrant.
Yeah. 4 quadrant. Yeah. Really.
So that's awesome. Oh, well, thanks for talking to us.
Yeah.
Guys, really, really happy. And thank you for rearranging. And I'm really glad we got to do it.
Yeah.
Of course.
Are you on Instagram or anything? Can people follow you?
Yeah,
online?
I'm on, Simon.Kettlin Jones. Yes, Simon.Kettlin Jones, CLLAN Jones. It's an open account, and I'm definitely going to be starting to post some pictures of Family Plan soon.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm following you. I see pictures. Is this, Family Plan 2, which is Go Family, the Family Plan 2, just in time for the holiday season, November 21st. Yes, you posted that 4 weeks ago, or maybe your assistant posted.
Right? Yeah, I'm a little slow actually. I need to get back in the groove.
Simon, do you have a few more minutes to endorse with us?
I do.
Unpaid endorsements.
I love to entertain. My birthday, my daughter's birthday, we throw a big Christmas party, we throw a big Halloween party. We're hosting Thanksgiving this year. We do a lot of entertaining this time of year. And as a gift, I got one of those like 3-sheet heating trays, you know, like kind of like the ones you would get. You'd see it like a hotel buffet or something like that. You know, they've got the little silver quarter pan guys. and then the little lids, and it's got like a little heating pan underneath it, relatively generic. And I kind of was like, oh, that's cool. Like, we'll use that a little bit. And we use it for entertaining all the time. It is a major staple for us, because the unlock for me was like, oh, you can do like a bunch of like Trader Joe's hors d'oeuvres, or we're getting breakfast tacos for my daughter's birthday. And you can just kind of throw them in there and keep it warm all day. So you could do it early in the morning. You don't have to prepare things like, up to the minute when you're trying to serve a bunch of people all at once. So I know that's like a weird, like hosty endorsement.
No,
but if you're throwing parties, they're worth it. They're really handy, and like it's been a game changer for us in terms of just being calm and relaxed before guests start to show up. So endorsement is heating trays.
Maybe try that out. Yeah, maybe you can change my life.
Yeah, there you go. Simon. Well, with that, Simon, what is your unpaid endorsement? What you got?
What is my opinion? Okay, well, funnily enough, I'm going to be planting thousands of crocus bulbs.
Crocus bulbs. What is that?
Some weird art project. I don't know why I'm doing it. I've got a little patch of land up there, and I'm going to plant literally 10,000 bulbs and just do a block of yellow. What the heck?
Awesome. That is really cool. Wow. So, and a crocus is like...
Is that like a tulip or something?
Kind of like a tulip, right?
It's where saffron comes from. It's like a
cool.
smaller, they come out in February, March.
So you're starting the saffron trade. You're just like...
Yeah, well, maybe it's like a drug dealer, but it's kind of legal.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome. Yeah, nice. I love gardening. I love it.
Yeah.
Kaplan, what you got, buddy?
We have a garden box that we have not touched for like 8 years. And we actually just destroyed, but I'd love to get back into that at some point. I've got not good ones, so I'm just going to give them a lot. It's quantity over quality with me sometimes. One is we're watching Task. I know everyone's watching it, but we're really enjoying it. Mark Ruffalo show on HBO. There's nothing in it that I haven't seen before, but for some reason it's still really fun to watch.
Dan Deacon is the composer on that. He's a artist that I like very much.
Cool.
Great music. Yeah.
And so my wife and I were watching that. The other show we're watching that I like and she is not as into is I Love LA. It just started on Sunday. It's with Rachel Sennett. And it's kind of like...
Previous guest Andy Radzinski is a DP on that show.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I really like the first episode. It's very Rachel Sennett. It's kind of like Girls, but the 2025 LA version. And I don't know. I love seeing LA. They do not hold back. The LA references are just like every second. It's like they're going to Air One,
Courage Bagels, all that
Courage
stuff.
Bagels, yeah. It's really LA. And then I've been on the wait list for a very long time, but I just got my Robinhood Gold card today, which is a credit card. You get 3% cash back on everything. If you want to, have a credit card that gives you something back, but you don't want to worry about points or airline miles or hotels or Amex things, you just get this one. You get 3% cash back, and it's awesome.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to get one of those as well. And I'm going to get my sort of serving plates dealt with.
Yes. Right. And check out I Love LA.
Yeah, I will do. Guys, listen, I got to shoot because I think I'm keeping someone waiting, but it's
totally,
for sure.
Brilliant to meet you. Really fun questions. Really nice talking to you.
Cool.
Thanks
care,
so much, Simon.
Appreciate you.
We'll talk to you later. If anyone has any questions you want us to forward on to Simon or questions for us, you can email us at justshootitpod@gmail.com or find us on all social media at justshootitpod. You can find me on Instagram. I'm at okaplan.
And I'm at Mr. Matt Endo. This episode was edited by Kevin Oyang. Thanks, Kevin. Our social media is done by Lily Bouvier, and the producer is Tyler Small. Thanks to you both. And we're listening to music provided by the Free Music Archive and the artist Jazar. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.